Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. And we are at Sassy's favorite watering hole. It is, and Sassy, by the way. Sass, come here.
Sassy, come. Here's your big show.
Her big debut.
Yes.
She got a haircut.
Oh,
she
my gosh.
got a haircut.
Look at those pink bows.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Sass, here you go. And then Z's got to come in.
Yeah.
So it's starting to, well, we can almost smell spring.
Ah, yes. I smell the moisture, and I smell like things expanding. I can smell the expansion.
And it's so peaceful here. Just was sitting here, closed my eyes, and then a face came to me. And I told Cindy I'm seeing a very, actually sympathetic, friendly-looking kind of Bigfootish type of face, and she was picking up on the same thing.
Oh, I love it when that happens, because as soon as he said that, I was looking at the face, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I saw the same thing. So it's really nice to be able to confirm when we're looking into the same dimension and seeing the same things. It just it's pretty incredible.
But it happens to us often. It really, really does, and it gives us verification.
Yeah, and every time it still kind of surprises me. It makes me happy, though.
Yes. So I was asking her about Lemuria and Atlantis, and then saying, do you feel like there was any civilization before Lemuria here? And
so I looked. I looked, and what I found was there were beings who were like of a light body, much less dense. And for those of you familiar with the Kali Yuga, when we go into more of a dense place on Earth, they wanted to take advantage of this denseness and move in and have more experiences in the 3D. And after a time of this is when things got hijacked through Atlantis and Mars, and that's where the control started to come.
So you were saying, too, it was kind of a controlled experiment.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, yeah, it was a controlled experiment, and it was, everything was fine. It was going to be good, but it did get taken advantage of, which does happen a lot going through these yugas. Other beings know to come in and take control, take advantage, and unfortunately, that's what happened here.
Yeah, and as we've talked about the AI, the black goo, the Draco, and then down into the reptilian hybrids, the Anunnaki, the Igigi. That's kind of like your chain of command going down the line, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I know at one point I want to sit down with a whiteboard and kind of draw out a picture of the chain of command and how things look. It's just, when I look in my mind, it gets a little bit convoluted, but there is definitely an ability there to pick them apart and see who came first and when, and all of these things. So, we're coming out of this period where we've been controlled and we've been hijacked and we've been used, taken advantage of. So I'm really happy about that. But again, this is just the beginnings of it. We have a long way to go. Like Mike always says, certain things are like a marathon. This is like a marathon coming out of it.
Yeah, so we got to be ready for that marathon. Just when we think, this is it. This is the big breakthrough, it's like, no, it isn't. It's kind of like dangling a carrot in front of a donkey, so to speak, and we've seen this time and time again. And yet, most definitely the light is making progress. We are. Our abilities are getting insane. We're seeing people that are so gifted, so talented, on a daily basis. And again, I'd say our average day is 6 or 7 people that we work with energy-wise. And there are so many talented, gifted people that are waking up to past lives, to even their background as starseeds, and starting to get a glimpse of living on a different world. So this world has been under the control of these dark powers. And at the same time, we're not limited just to this world. Now, if they trick us into lower vibrational existence, which means, taking up arms against each other, just living in hatred, living in anger, living in fear, then the chances are we're going to get stuck here. And that's what happens to many souls. And we've seen many, many souls.
Sass.
Sassy's going wandering off down there.
Yep. She's a
Come
wanderer.
on, little one.
Sass.
We've seen many souls that get stuck in between dimensions, get stuck in the in-between, so to speak. And I think you've used that term, the in-between, haven't you?
A couple of different ways. I call the in-between when I'm meditating and I go under into a trance, because it's like you don't really know that you're there, but you are, and you don't know until you come out of it. And then the other in-between, where you're like, I guess people can call it a ghost or a discarnate, between dimensions, and a little bit trapped there, or not a little bit, actually a lot, and they can get trapped there for hundreds of years. And sometimes I feel scared because I'll run into a discarnate that has been, is lost and doesn't understand where they're at, what's going on, and they're kind of walking in circles. Some of them, if they perhaps pass in a hospital, they even still they're showing themselves with their blue hospital gown on, and they're just excited that somebody could see them. So a lot of stuff goes on in the in-between.
So, tell them about the one that realized that we could see it, and so was playing around with us, sticking his head in the...
He was sticking his head in the freezer because he could see the snakes, and I could see him looking at the snakes, and we said something about feeding rats to the snake, and he knew instinctively to go look in our freezer to stick his head in there and see rats, but he was excited that I could see him, so he wanted me to kind of show him. He wanted me to see his tricks, and one of his tricks was sticking his head in the freezer to look at the rats. And it was really sad, though, because he was a cancer patient, and he had been lonely for a very long time, died alone. So for him, it was a real treat to be able to have the company of another being to experience life with him. And I think looking at things, in a broader view, we all kind of experience life together, and we all should be in a place of gratitude more often.
So one of our dear sisters and her young one, well, they were in an old house and, looking at houses, and they picked up an energy there that was horrid. And so, we ended up working on her today to clear her from that energy, because, so many people are getting so super sensitive. Their abilities are waking up. And as we've said, the whole reason why this time is the way it is, the way there's this crazy lockdown going on and all this, it's because the real powers that be understand that we're waking up to the point where we are going to know what's going on. We know what's going on. Things cannot be hidden from us anymore. All's going to be revealed. It's the apocalypse again. You can't hide things. People's ability to perceive ghosts and other beings, demonic beings, angelic beings, is increasing. So when people understand that these things are around them all the time, when they look at their politicians and understand that they could just see a dark energy all around them, and they could even, in some cases, read their aura and see the colors of the aura and see when they lie, it starts changing color. Mm-hmm. They can't hold on to this matrix anymore. So that's why everything is going on the way it is. That's the bottom line reason why. If they had more time, they would, let it go longer, because they are harvesting the earth of natural resources, and they are harvesting the creatures of the earth, including humans, for their energies.
Mm-hmm. And that's like a really bittersweet ability when you can look into someone and you can see the disorganization, I'll call it, and it's actually painful, and so you start to realize, wow, we are kind of up against something big here. It's real important that we be good to each other, be honest to each other, treat each other well, because the forces that we're up against, they have kind of scrambled humanity and made it very difficult for humans to figure things out. We're never taught anything. We have to figure this out on our own. and take our own path, go down our own road, and figure it out. And it's not like we're blind. We can do this. We can. It's a little bit like feeling around in the dark, but we're in an age where it's more acceptable now to talk about these things and acknowledge these things. So, in that sense, it's better.
So when we look at the techniques they use, and they use war as a technique, war is a powerful tool for them because it keeps us in a lower vibration. It keeps us constantly reducing the population through, getting rid of each other for them, as well as, creating business, money opportunities, which is really, that's not even the real crux of it. It's more about lowering the frequencies, lowering the vibration, creating traumas in people, creating traumas so they're going to go off and see their MD, and they're going to get a script, and the script's going to open them up to, well, basically open them up to a possession of some sorts, and allowing other energies to actually literally feed off of them. This is the cycle that we're in, and until we actually recognize just how diabolical the system is, because it is truly a diabolical system from the perspective of all the humans and animals and beings on this planet.
Hmm. And I know personally, I did go through or down the path, however you want to put it, where I didn't know of any different kinds of alternative healing. I didn't realize that meditation and concentration and mantras could help bring me back to a place of peace. And lifestyle changes, super important. So the medical system did get a hold of me for quite a while, quite some time. But I made it through that. I got through that because my instincts were telling me there's got to be a better way. This isn't it. Something is so wrong with this system. And I had lost a very dear friend of 25 years, in she was in the medical system. They were supposed to save her life, and she had kind of like a 3-year battle and just spiraled downward. And there was a couple really harsh things made me wake up to understanding that the system is corrupt and we need to make a change. So it's up to all of us individually to, find that path for us to healing. And our higher self knows that path. So it's really important to be able to go within, look within, and just find alternative methods.
Yeah, it is truly amazing to wake up to the reality. And the reality sounds like a sci-fi horror movie, sort of, but it really kind of is.
Hmm.
That's really the reality of it. And yet, there are many souls here right now that knew exactly what's going on, and that's why they're here. They're here to be systems busters. They're here to, break it down. And that's the big purpose, is breaking down this system, because it doesn't have to be this type of existence here, and it's not like this on all 3D worlds. And there's countless 3D worlds, as Zika's really watching something over
Hmm.
there very intently. Um, it doesn't have to be this way. It really, really doesn't. It could be a blissful experience, because up on the higher realms, in our energy bodies, where we're actually living in the energy body and we're not of the physical nature, it's a totally different existence. This is much more of that extremes. This existence, we could equate it to, can you imagine the Earth before whatever the cataclysm was that created the asteroid belt? Whether we believe it was Nibiru coming in, destruction of Tiamat, or whatever, the Death Star, because we recognize that so much of the shows and the movies and stuff, this is coming from our collective history, the inspirations, the ideas. It's coming from a knowing of what has happened in the past. Can we imagine the Earth spinning on a straight axis? And we've talked about how Vedic astrology takes in the tilt of the Earth, 23.5 degrees, as we proceed through the equinoxes, where Western doesn't. It puts it as if it's perfectly straight, so to speak. But then again, everything in the West has been hidden. As we know, it's the dominant world system, going back to Roman and then Sumerian times before that, and then going back to Atlantean times before that. So when we take into effect, that tilt of the Earth and the fact that something happened to cause that, before that happened, the Earth would have been, and this is what we have gotten, a much different place. The storms wouldn't be like the storms we see now. Everything would be much more abundant, peaceful, tranquil, a smoother, evener life. Much more of the Earth would have been habitable. And, we can return to that. And perhaps we will after the next major pole shift.
Mm-hmm. I know, and Mike kind of triggered some thoughts in me when he said, sister system busters are coming in and making changes. So sometimes when I do someone's chart, I can see that exact person, that system buster who's going to be a rebel of teachers, gurus, father, and just basically just totally rebellious against the system. And then I see a lot of people who are true leaders, spiritual leaders, strong spiritual leaders. So I'm seeing a lot more of this. And I did a couple charts yesterday, and it was just such a blessing to see the star children we have coming up and coming. And it's refreshing. It's nice to see.
It is, and Cindy, because we ask for a photo when we do energy work, said, "What do you think of this person?" And just looking at them was like, wow, pure power, pure
Mm-hmm.
power, in a good sense. Somebody that has tremendous potential ahead of them to help lead the world in the next era through reconstruction of everything back to the way it's going to be. A very, very strong, powerful person. And we've seen amazing souls that are on this earth at this time. When we think about some historical personages that were there at key times to help other, historical personages, that's what it feels like right now. It feels like some of the greatest beings of all time are actually taking bodies and getting ready to help us transition to the higher way that we can be, help us towards that 5D unity consciousness. There are some amazing souls incarnating right now.
It's an incredible time to be alive. There's so much change and so much beauty, but also, a little bit different, a little bit scary, and that's okay too. But it's one constant thing always in life is always change, and boy, are we going through change.
We are. And ultimately, it's going to be an amazing world. Somebody made the comment when I was talking about the fact that, so much of this chaos and destruction, it feels like we've been given these prophecies so that we will fulfill them in a negative light. Said, yeah, but look at the end result. And it's true. At the end result of all these prophecies is a new world, new heavens and a new earth. When we look up and see the stars, they're going to be in different places. The earth's going to be made anew. But my point is, I think that if there was not any of this negative influence, we wouldn't even be in this position. Heaven on earth would already be here as a natural progression. It would be an easy, gentle transference from the old ways to the new ways. We would have time to sense when the big quakes are coming, get away from those areas, to sense when there might be, say, the collapse of La Palma, and then get away from the Atlantic coast. We would know these things because we were in harmony with the earth, and we would have balanced energies. Our Ida and our Pingala would be balanced. And you guys, some of you might not recognize that, but those are two of the main nadis, two of the main energy centers that run up around the spine, intersecting at each chakra. When they are in balance and they join and flow smoothly from the Muladhara, the root chakra, all the way up to the crown chakra, then the energy flows up to Sushumna, which is the central channel, and the Kundalini is activated, and our abilities are activated. And, we've talked about the abilities of the yogis, which, Christ himself exhibited these abilities. Others have as well. Healing and all sorts of other things, prophecy, seeing. It's just a beautiful thing. And this is the destiny of humanity, and this is what we're walking into right now.
Mm-hmm. And we're kind of in the beginning stages, but we gotta be strong because the beginning stages are gonna take a while.
They are, but hang on, guys, because We're going to have a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but after that, it will be smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be work. It's going to be work. There's a lot of work whenever there's a reconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be the biggest reconstruction in, obviously, this modern era in these times. But it shall be done.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to thank you guys for being part of the family. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. If you need to reach us and make an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.